Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for watching. I've got to show you what I read in April, and I'm also going to share with you my to be read list for May, and whether or not I get through it is a completely different matter, as you well know. So I'm going to show you these books in the order that I read them. First up is Perfect by Cecilia Ahern. You will have seen, if you've been watching these videos regularly, that I reviewed Flawed by Cecilia Ahern, which is an incredible book, really dystopian, absolutely amazing book. This is the sequel to that book called Perfect. It is also a fantastic read. I really enjoyed it. I read it on the plane going out to Amsterdam, and I'd finished by the time I got back from Amsterdam, and it was only a quick break. The characters are really good. There's a certain kind of rawness to her writing, and that's really nice. It's again very dystopian. It's about the kind of flawed people who are branded kind of rising up and trying to take over. It's about the main character's relationship with her ex-boyfriend and with a new man that she's met. It looks at the intricacies of society and analyses kind of how we judge other people. And I think it's a really good book to read. It was really interesting. I didn't think it was quite as good as Flawed, but I think that's purely because Flawed was so kind of like, oh my goodness, what? And Flawed, I cried my eyes out reading. I didn't cry reading this, but I did think it was very good. And I don't think it was meant to make me cry, if that makes sense. I would definitely recommend this though, and I'm going to lend it to one of the mums from school because she just finished Flawed on my recommendation. The second book I read is by Siobhan Dowd, and it's called Bog Child. And if you saw my last month's video, you will know I'm reading Siobhan Dowd's books at the moment. There are 3 main books, and I'm really enjoying reading them. This was completely different to the last one. Set in Ireland, set during the time of Troubles. There's a lot of dissent, there's a lot of rebellion, there's a lot of fighting, there are hunger strikes, and during all of this, this boy called Fergus finds a body on the top of the mountain in a bog, hence the name Bog Child. And it's a really intricate story. The characters are fantastic. They're really likeable, and you want to get to know more about them. You want to know about Fergus's journey. You want to see how he's doing, you know, whether he manages to get the grades that he wanted to do what he wants to do after school. And it's a really good story, and all at the same time there's this kind of discovery of this body, and that's quite, you know, exciting, but also who is this person, how long have they been there, what happened to them, why are they there. It's a book which asks a lot of you. It asks you to become involved in a time which was not a good time for Ireland, and it manages to do all of that whilst telling the story of this boy called Fergus. And it does it brilliantly, and I would definitely recommend reading this one. It's another very good read. The third and final book I read this month is called Miss You by Kate Eberlen, and I bought this last week in the supermarket and just thought I liked the sound of it. It was a really good book. It was a nice read. It was a gentle read about 2 people who keep meeting at points in time but never kind of get together. So it tells the stories of both of their lives as they go through life, kind of their paths crossing occasionally, and whether or not they eventually get together and meet each other. It covers some kind of deep topics like breast cancer. You don't really need to think that much to read it. It's quite a nice read. It's quite a nice, you know, you sort of dive into the story, find the characters, get to know them, enjoy it, and before you know, you finished the book. And I really enjoyed it. It wasn't particularly taxing. It was just a lovely read. The characters are really nice. The characters all have something to them. I get onto my to be read pile, and I had 4 books, but I also have Solace of the Road by Siobhan Dowd, which is the 3rd of her books. So first up, I have Reasons to Stay Alive by Matt Haig. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I started it last night, but I was quite tired, so I didn't read that much. But I'm looking forward to kind of getting my teeth into it, and it's got loads of really good reviews, so looking forward to that one. Next up, I have A Quiet Kind of Thunder by Sarah Barnard, and I'm looking forward to reading this book. It's a young adult fiction, and it seems to have quite a lot of sort of buzz about it, so I'm looking forward to reading it. Third up, I have What Alice Forgot, which is about a woman who has an accident and hits her head and forgets a certain amount of her life. And kind of, I think it's meant to be quite funny in that she realises she's turned into someone that she wouldn't have wanted to be, if that makes sense. So I'm looking forward to getting to read that, because actually my friend fell off a horse a few years ago and she forgot a huge chunk of her life and didn't really know her children either. Thankfully it didn't last long and her memory came back, but there was a 6-month period where she was just like, who am I? Who are you? What are we doing here? The fourth book I have on my list is All the Rage. This was recommended to me at VidCon Europe, and I will leave a link to the person who recommended it down below. And it is about a woman who's raped. And I've kind of been putting off reading it because I've been watching 13 Reasons on Netflix, and I just couldn't face reading this when I went to bed after having watched that on Netflix. So for the moment I've been like saving this one until I'm mentally ready to sort of get into that. But I'm going to try and read it this month. I will do my very best. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then please give us a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to my channel, then please do, because there are so many different types of video. I'm sure there'll be something that you like to see. I think that's it. Right, I will see you again soon. Alright, bye.